Hello folks, this is Sula once again. Welcome to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is a look at the B patch that has just come out for Teamfight Tactics. The initial release version of set 6.5 was not very well balanced, and the development team rushed out a B patch that had a lot of nerfs to the overpowered things in that patch, largely Hex Tech trait plus Sivir plus Renata, and Silco. So they all ate a bunch of nerfs, and we have kind of a very new game here. So they were going to be looking in this video at one of the team comps that has jumped up in popularity in the B version of this release patch. And it's a team comp that was kind of on the was certainly playable before, was already decent enough, but has now become probably the strongest comp in the game in this B patch, and that is an Innovators Flex comp. It's probably the best way to explain it. So basically, playing Innovators is kind of the core of the team, but then being able to flex that core in a bunch of different directions, depending on what augments pop up and depending on what champions you're hitting. And this is actually taken from a ranked game. In fact, the first ranked game that I have played in set 6.5. Basically, we identified right when the B patch came out that this would be a very powerful team composition. And so I generally don't play a lot of ranked games, but great time to play it when we know what a really strong team composition is, but before that knowledge has kind of seeped out to other people. In particular, as you will notice in this game, many people were still playing Sivir comps, which are certainly still viable, but nowhere near as strong as they were before. All right, so as far as different options here, I end up with Second Wind, which is one of the new augments in this set. Restores additional health over time. Whereas after 10 seconds, you get a certain amount of health back. Also had Knife's Edge, which is good if you're running a frontline team composition. But for what I have here, I decided I would take the Bodyguard Heart for kind of two reasons. One is I can use the Bodyguard Heart. I already had a Darius and a Poppy on my bench, so I was like, oh, you know what? I want to go into Innovators, but I could play a 4 Bodyguard opener by playing Blitzcrank plus Darius plus Poppy. Bodyguard units were really bad in the release version of set 6.5, just like horribly, horribly low win rates. Here you see me checking what the other people are running in this game. Just horrible win rates. But they are more viable here in the B patch. I wouldn't say they're strong, but they are at least an option. And then look at this shop here. This is like the dream shop here. I hit 2-star Ezreal, and I also get the chance to get another Darius, and I get an Echo, which is going to be enough to play Innovators if I want. So I'm actually going to pivot right away here. The plan for me had been to play 4 bodyguards, to play Ezreal plus Blitzcrank plus Darius plus Poppy. But I can also just play Innovators instead, and I thought that that would be better here. So I'm going to sacrifice the 4 bodyguard opener in favor of playing Innovator. Just straight up Innovator. And so I'm actually not going to play 4 Bodyguard at any point in time throughout this game. So you could say that this is a bit of a waste of an augment. Like, obviously I didn't get as much value out of this as I thought I might. Taking Bodyguard Heart, you're not taking Bodyguard Heart to play 2 Bodyguard, let's be honest. That's not going to do that much. But I don't think it was a bad choice. It gave me the Blitzcrank that allowed me to get Scrap in. I didn't know that I was going to hit the Echo at, 15% odds to hit the 3-cost Echo. So I don't regret taking that. And it will give me some value as long as I play Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank will get the Bodyguard extra armor and the shield there. By the way, this fight's really close. I thought if Echo's ult went off, I might actually win this, but no, I end up losing it. Sadly, the Talon on the other team jumped on top of the Ezreal, and Ezreal just bled out to death almost immediately. So the other alternative I have here is I also have the chance to play 4 Scrap because I've got Ezreal, who is Scrap, and Echo, who is Scrap. And the fact that Innovator so easily plays into Scrap right now is one of the reasons why it is a very good comp to have. But I also have Blitzcrank because I got him out of my augment choice. That gets me to 3 Scrap, so then I can potentially play another Scrap unit for 4 Scrap. And I was trying to decide, do I want to play like 4 Bodyguards or do I want to play 4 Scrap? Because I don't think I can play both of them. And it just worked out naturally that I could play 4 Scrap more easily than I could play 4 Bodyguards here. Because I could get the extra bodyguard. Like, let's say I go to level 5, which I will be looking to do in the middle of stage 2. Well, if I want to get 4 bodyguards in, I would have to take out the Innovators because I'd have to take out, definitely I'd have to take out. I'd get one more unit, but I'd have to take out either Echo or Singed, and then I'd lose bodyguards, and that did not feel worth it. So like, here's where I have to make the decision. I'm like, do I want to play for bodyguards? But I've already kind of spoiled the suspense by saying I'm not going to play 4 bodyguards at any point in time in this game. So I just decided right here that I was not going to look to play that. Like, I can make 2-star Darius. 2-star Darius is probably better in the short run, but I can't really run Innovators and 4 bodyguards together. So I'd rather play the Innovators. And I think I ultimately sell the bodyguards so that I can get up to 10 gold and help out my econ a little bit. As far as what else I'm doing with my team composition right now, by the way, this is another Innovators board. I was keeping an eye on who was playing what, and there's one other person playing Innovators. This person, Let's Start a Riot, and they have gotten a much better augment for Innovators than Bodyguard Heart. They have gotten the one where the Innovator, the little creature, the Scarab, will repair over the course of the fight. So yeah, they just have a stronger setup than I do. But hey, and they're also already level 5. They leveled to 5 early in the hopes of going on a win streak, and it seems like it's working because they are at 100 HP. So that was not quite what I was looking for. And it also means I will be contested by this other player who has a much better augment for the comp that we're both looking to run. So we'll have to see who can do a better job of building an Innovators board. As far as what was available here, I think my top priority would have been a sword so that Ezreal could roll a sword scrap item. That does not happen, so instead I opted to take a chain vest because I can always use frontline stuff, and this will give the opportunity to roll another item via scrap trait. So I'm going to put this on Blitzcrank, and then Blitz will roll a scrap item. So let's go ahead and sell this. I will pick up the Zillion, but I'm not going to look to play the Zillion. I could play it over Singed, but what I'm kind of lacking right now is frontline. So I will keep the Singed in because I need the frontline more than I need Zillion's time bombs. And yeah, the biggest weakness of my comp is frontline. It's pretty sketchy right now. I haven't exactly been hitting in terms of champions here. I got the big hit as far as the Echo goes, and I did get the 2-star Ez, but other than that, I have not hit a ton. Remember, Blitzcrank came out of an augment. I have 1 Singed, and 1-star Singed and 1-star Ziggs, so it's not as though I'm super high rolling here or anything. I'm also trying to do a better job of positioning, but it's still really tough here in the first couple rounds because you can hit literally anyone in the lobby. And, you know, there was like 4, well, not anyone in the lobby, but I think there were still 4 different comps I could hit. And this was just one I was hoping not to hit because I didn't want the Nocturne to jump right on top of the Ezreal. I thought I still had a pretty good chance to win this because, look, I have rolled a Morello's on the Echo, so that's going to burn the enemy team. We've got that burn effect going. I'm like, come on, Echo, come on, this is close. I've got the Scarab, I've got the Echo, come on, that burn is still ticking, and there we go. So that's nice. I did want to win that round. I know I've gone lost win, but I actually want to get off to a win streak here, is kind of what I'm going for. That's a little bit nicer. I hit the 2-star Ziggs, and I find another Singed, so hopefully I'll be able to continue working towards 2-starring my board. And now I'm keeping an eye on these other teams and trying to see which one, well, I know which ones I'm going to hit. Now I'm back to having 3 teams that I can hit, so I'm trying to see where do I position, trying to keep Ezreal safe from these assassins. There are assassins on 2 of the 3 boards, and there's not really a safe side I can position on, unfortunately. So it turns out I don't hit one of the assassin comps. Instead, I end up hitting this person who is playing, I guess, some version of Chemtech plus Mercenaries. I guess they don't quite have Mercenaries in yet, so they're really playing through the econ side. Looks like Echo got off a pretty nice ult there, and Ezreal not dying to assassins in the first 5 seconds of the fight is always a good sign. So looks like we're probably going to be able to beat this person, as long as we can get through that Camille, but I've got a Last Whisper, so the armor gets shredded. And we're in pretty good shape. That person had not lost a round yet, so that's pretty significant to end their win streak, not let them carry that win streak to the minion stage. And there we go. There's a 2-star Singe. So I guess I am hitting pretty decently here on the Innovators. 2-star Ez, 2-star Singe. And I'm also looking at where the spotlight is, and the spotlight's in a pretty good spot. It's in the back row, one tile off the corner. So that's pretty good. That's definitely a playable spotlight for some kind of backline carry. While we're here on the minion round, I do have an opportunity to. Oh, and by the way, look at the items I roll in the minion round. I roll a Shroud of Stonus and I roll a Morello's. I'm like, are you kidding me? Could I get those to drop in a non-minion round? Those would be awful nice items to roll in a non-minion round, but oh well, whatever. The good news is there, I do get an item that can be Morello's, so I don't have to worry about rolling it as a scrap item. I can just make Morello's right now, and that's definitely worthwhile to do. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'm also going to hold on to these Sennas because, like I said, the Spotlight's in a pretty good spot. I think I could make use of that. So I'll hold on to this unit for now as a possible unit to play. And I'm actually in a position now where I should be able to roll some pretty good scrap items. I have Tier on Ziggs. That's a useful item to roll on him. And a Chain Vest on Blitz. So they'll both roll pretty good items. And now I want to get one on Ezreal because Scrap 4 will turn 3 components into finished items. I'm also scouting which teams I'm going to be up against. This is something you should always do now that you can see the opponents. And looky, I shift out of the way of that Talon. This person's playing VIP Talon. And so I 100% lose this fight if Ezreal is standing on the left-hand side, but I have reasonably good odds to win because that Talon is over there hitting tanks instead of hitting my carry, which of course is Ezreal, and I guess to a lesser extent Echo at the moment. So yeah, positioning for the win. We win this round that we would have lost otherwise. So yeah, definitely keep an eye on those other comps and scout and see. You can only hit 3 of them. Another good example of this is Blitzcrank is played a lot less now than he used to be. I'm going to level to 6 here and put in Senna. So now I've got the Spotlight that I can play around, and I'll put Ez on that. So Blitz is not played nearly as much now as he was in the previous set because he lost Protector trait. And in addition to that, you can see who you're going to be up against. So if none of the 3 people that you can potentially hit are running Blitzcrank, you can corner your carries all you want, and they're totally fine. So like there is someone who has Blitzcrank, but I already know I can't hit that person. So Ezreal can go in the corner and not have any issues whatsoever. So again, the fact that you can now see your opponents is such a big change from what it was before. Oh, by the way, look at that Scrap Zephyr coming out. Or not Scrap Zephyr, a Scrap Shroud coming out on Blitzcrank. That's kind of nice. Although one of the things it does do is it delays the hook long enough that Ezreal actually gets hooked instead of the Ziggs. So that's not quite what I want, but we seem to have this pretty well in hand. Even though my board does still have quite a few 1-stars, we seem to have this well under control. And I'm just still win streaking. By the way, notice who else is still win streaking. It's Let's Start a Riot. The other person who's playing Innovators in the lobby and has a better Innovator augment than I do. So that's not ideal, but we'll wink to. All right, so here we've got 2 good choices. Cybernetics is going to be useful. Champions holding an item get health and attack damage. Celestial Blessing, also a good choice. Your units heal for some of the damage done. That scales really well into the late game. I decided I'd take Cybernetics because I thought I already had enough healing in my comp. Remember, I have Senna in there right now, and I'm planning on playing into Seraphine, and Seraphine will provide healing. So I thought I didn't need healing quite as much. And in addition to that, I also really like the Cybernetics benefit because if you've noticed what I've done with Scrap Trait, I'm actually spreading out my items because I can roll extra scrap items off of the components. So there's a natural synergy between spreading out your items for Scrap Trait and then rolling, and then getting extra stats on them from the Cybernetics augment. So I thought that was a better choice. I also can now potentially hit Let's Start a Riot. This is, I believe, the last person who beat me was that other Innovator board. So it's a possibility that I can hit them again. And in fact, I am hitting them. We were both scouting one another. This person's taken Ludens, which is very good early game. The good news is that will fall off long term. And this is kind of the big fight because we're both on win streaks. And who continues win streaking is going to be really big. Echo gets off a great ult for me and then dies. But unfortunately, that Innovator self-repair augment is really causing me problems. I've already killed the enemy team's little Scarab one time, and then I kill it a second time. And it just, yeah, in the time that my unit spent hitting that Scarab, which self-repaired twice in that fight, that was time I was not hitting the backlines killing things. And as I already mentioned, Ludens is very good in the early game, although it falls off later. So I lose that round, and that person still has not lost yet. So I'm being contested by someone who has one augment that's quite a bit better than what I have, Innovator Self-Repair, and they have not lost yet. So they are on an 8-match winning streak. So I was like, I don't know if this is going to work long term, but I will continue to hope for the best and see what happens. I do, of course, have last pick because I'm still on 84 health because I have a pretty strong board. I was win streaking up until that round. And out of these options here, I'm going to take the bow because I want Ezreal to roll a scrap item. Like right now, I get a free scrap item on Blitz every round. I get a free scrap item on Ziggs every round. Now I want to roll a free one on Ezreal as well. So this is me trying to take advantage of the scrap trait. And remember, scrap trait will turn 3 components into finished items. And so this is me taking advantage of that. And I can definitely build something good out of this bow. Whether that is, I don't know, Giant Slayer is probably the best option, but we'll see what happens. But I could certainly make something out of it. I don't need double Last Whisper, but I'll get something decent. All right, so again, I'm trying to look to see if I need to position. I thought that I was okay for this particular round. And indeed, looks like my positioning is pretty good here against this person who's trying to play mercenaries. We're gonna pull the Misfortune, who actually is pretty dangerous with that static shiv. I don't think she ever gets to do anything in the fight. And yeah, I mean we lost to the other Innovators board that's just been win streaking nonstop, but been doing pretty well against everybody else. No one else has beaten me in quite a while. I lost to that comp twice in a row, but otherwise I've beaten everybody else. And I'm continuing to hope that someone else will beat that Innovators board so that they can get off this win streak. But they should be incredibly rich off of, a 9-match win streak. So this might be a game where I'm playing for second. If that person builds their comp correctly, I probably should not be able to beat them. Now here I have the chance to level. I could level to 7 here and look to put in Zillion, but I was like, I'm not on a win streak. If I lose this round, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm not on a win streak, so I decided I would just play things a little bit slower here and focus on econ instead of trying to push tempo here. If I had been able to win against Let's Start a Riot, I of course would have leveled and looked to put in the Zillion. But Zillion's not going to make any traits. He's just going to give me another unit. I guess he'd make the Scarab slightly stronger because it would go from Innovator 3 to Innovator 4. So we're back up against this Chemtech person, and I like the start of this fight because we managed to get this hook on the Warwick. Warwick is kind of the carry on this team. This person might be looking to transfer items over to Tryndamere long term, or they might keep them on the Warwick. This is what Chemtech has kind of turned into now. It's a reroll team composition. You reroll between Warwick and Tryndamere and try to 3-star both of them. It's generally the way it's played. It turns out it's going to be a close loss, and the sad thing is if I had leveled to 7, I'm pretty sure I win that round by having Zillion in, because that round was extremely close, and I have to imagine having the time bomb in would have made enough difference to win that. But it's okay. I don't think I only lost 4 health because it was a really close, really close fight. And as I said, I wasn't on a win streak, so it's not that big of a deal overall. Anyway, we're about to hit stage 4, so we're starting to make our way through the mid game into the end game, and I want to talk a little bit about why Innovator Flex is a pretty strong team composition. So obviously, number one reason is a lot of the other strong comps got nerfed in this B patch. Sivir nerfed, Silco nerfed, Renata nerfed, Bruisers nerfed. Well, not Bruisers the trait, but some of the Bruiser units got nerfed. So. That's obviously the biggest reason why this has become more viable, but I really like this setup because it is a very flexible team composition. So you can kind of take this team in a number of different directions depending on what you hit. One thing that's really convenient is there are a lot of different carries that can be run in this team composition. Let's say you hit a lot of AP items. Well, you can focus on playing through Seraphine, and like Seraphine plus Orianna, you can play in the team composition. You're going to want Seraphine because she's an innovator. You're going to want Orianna because she is another clockwork unit and she provides Enchanter. And it's just a good overall unit. So you can get put like Morellos on Seraphine. You can get a bunch of Chalices, get a Spear of Shojin so she generates mana. You get the idea. So that's one way that the team composition can be played. You can also play through AD items, which is what I've mostly been getting in this game, and that's the items I've been getting. I've been looking to go in that direction. By the way, there's Seraphine, so we will take out the Senna for right now, although I will hold Senna as another unit that can be played because she will add another rank of the Spotlight, and once I put Orianna in, she's also an Enchanter. So I'll hold her, if not play her. So you can play, obviously Ezreal cannot be your late game carry because he's a 1-cost unit. He's not strong enough, but you can run backline Jace with these items. If you see a lot of Jins, you can run Jin as your carry. Because you're playing through Scrap, you also have the opportunity to play through Jinx if you would see an early Jinx. And I believe I did that in one of the other games I put on YouTube. So that's another possibility as well. If you find the early Jinx, well, run 4 Scrap, put your items on Jinx, run her as your carry. Then you just need to get another Twin Shot into the comp, but it's doable. You certainly can do that. You can also play through Aurelia. In particular, if the Spotlight is up on the front lines, then Aurelia can be a decent carry as well. Play 4 Scrap, put Infinity Edge, Last Whisper, Quicksilver Sash on Aurelia. You got 1 rank of the Spotlight for free from Seraphine, and then just play Senna, and then if you really want to play through the Spotlight, you can put in Gnar. But like you can play that as well. You can play Scrap plus Socialite. And then there's also all the opportunities that emblems give you that can make this comp stronger. Let's say you get a Clockwork emblem. Well, if you get Clockwork, then you play Jin plus Oriana plus Zillion, and that's 4 Clockwork, which is very, very strong. If you get Enforcer emblems, you can play through Enforcer. You get 1 Enforcer from Jace, and then you can look to play like Vi, and then like another unit plus the emblem. You could play, I don't know, who are the other Enforcers? Sejuani. Oh, you can play Vi plus Sejuani plus Jace plus the emblem, and that's 4 Enforcers. So that's another option as well. Let's say you get Snipers. I've done this in some of my videos from earlier sets, from like set 6. You put the Sniper emblem on Jace, and then you play Jin, and then you've got Sniper Jace, who can be a backline carry. Or the Sniper emblem can go on Oriana. She uses it pretty well. Or Seraphine. But like so many different options. Oh, and you can play into Assassins as well. Remember that the Echo's an assassin, so you can look to toss in Kha'Zix if you want. Let's say you see a gazillion Kha'Zix, maybe you play in that direction. So it's an extremely flexible team composition. The downside is you kind of have to know what you're doing. You have to know like who the units are, how the pieces fit together, based on what items you're seeing, what's the most profitable direction to play in. So that's one reason why I really like this team comp. Obviously, it's strong overall. A lot of its competitors got nerfed. I expect that some of these units will get nerfed in the next patch, because I think that Innovator Flex is going to be one of the dominant team comps in this B patch. But I really like the flexibility. It reminds me a little bit of Cultists in set 4, whereby you could play in a lot of different directions with Cultist units, and just kind of flex your team depending on what you're hitting. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this game. Because I've been hitting mostly AD items and also picking AD items, I'm going to be looking to play through some kind of AD carry here. So let's roll and see what we get. I also want to look to move out of the Ziggs. So there's an Ori, so we 100% play her for Clockwork. Also hit 2-star Senna, so that's also a unit I would enjoy playing. I'm also holding some of these extra Innovators in case I have to sell and replace. Galio, why couldn't you have been Jace? So we do hit the 2-star Blitz, and I'm seeing Vi's. Unfortunately, I'm not really seeing the units I want here. I will pick up this Ezreal because I know I'm going to have to sell and replace him. So I got somewhat stronger there, and I can now make a Giant Slayer plus get another scrap item rolled on Ezreal. I got a little bit stronger, but I didn't really hit what I was looking for. So who was I looking for? Well, I would have liked Jin. If I had been seeing Jins, I could move the Ezreal items onto Jin and play Jin. If I had seen Jace, obviously I would play Jace because he's the 5-cost Innovator. If I had seen Jinx, I would have played Jinx. And if I had seen Aurelia, I would have played her. But I actually didn't see any of those units. So it was kind of a bad roll down. The good news is I actually beat the other Innovators player, who was apparently like changing up their team composition or something. These augments are not really what I'm looking for. I will take Second Wind as the least bad choice. I guess you could say do's the one, Salvage Bin, where like I could break apart the items, but I actually was pretty happy with my items, so I didn't really see much value from that. And then what was the other one? Not something that was terribly useful. So I will go ahead and make use of what I got here, and I'm continuing to get really good value out of 4 scrap. But those scrap shields will not be long enough to win. Like I kind of won some of these rounds just off the scrap shields, but they will not be strong enough on their own to win rounds going into the late game from here. So I do need to continue improving my board. So I thought, you know what, I will hold here for the moment, and then I probably need to look to roll a little bit afterwards. But let's wait until after the minion round. I have to start a good portion of my board, but my key late game units have not been 2-starred. And I don't know if this board is strong enough to be able to econ up to like level 9. I would love to get to level 9 because I have much better odds to find Jace there, to find Jinx there, to find any of the other legendary units. But we'll see if that happens. Anyway, this is a Hextech board. This comp would have been super duper strong before the B patch came out, and this player may not be aware that the B patch did come out because there's no notification on the client that happened. But with Hextech nerfed, we can actually win this round because Hextech 6 is not as overpowered as it was prior to the B patch, and so we're able to win this, and I go on a full win streak for stage 4, which was just fantastic for me. There we go, 2-star Oriana. That is definitely one of the units that I'd like to see. So now if we could just find a Jace or a Jinx or a Jin, there's no way I will not get these names confused. Jace or Jinx or Jin. And Aurelia would be nice too. I would like to replace these Ziggs with either Aurelia or Jinx. And if I can find a Jace, I could potentially, if I could find both of them, then I could potentially take Blitz out of the comp as well. That would then mean my Bodyguard Heart was useless, but I mean, so what? Who cares? Like, it's late game. We don't need to worry about that too much. So I end up getting a Chalice here, and I was like, that looks like, or excuse me, a Cloak here. So I was like, that sounds like a Chalice. This will be useful. I can move this to Orianna when I sell Ziggs. So I was thinking, let's do this. We'll move this over here. Let's give extra value to the Ori and to the Ezreal. It's a little bit unfortunate that the Spotlight is one tile off, because I'd actually like to give the Chalice to maybe Seraphine and Ezreal, but I can't really do that and make use of the Spotlight. There's also 4 different comps I can hit because someone got eliminated recently, and we're going to be up against one of these Renata Bruiser comps that was extremely overpowered in the last patch, but more reasonably balanced now. It's still definitely a playable comp, but now you actually have to, like, make 2-star versions of the units. You don't just, like, instantly win off of getting 1-star Renata in anymore. And yeah, this is not going as well because Ezreal is still, you know, Ezreal has good items, but he's still a 1-cost unit, so... Yeah, and if you're wondering what that weird interaction was, that was Edge of Night. Ezreal dropped aggression for a couple seconds, but he still got focused afterwards. Alright, so I lost that round. I was like, do I need to roll? Let's go one more round and see what happens. I'm going to put the Aurelia in. I'm going to put this Chalice on the Orianna, because Seraphine, if I put it on her, I'm not getting full value from it. And yeah, I decided let's go another round. Let's see how things go. If it goes poorly, I can always look to roll. I know who I'm going to be up against. It's this person playing Sivir, so that's definitely who I'm going to see. I didn't see any obvious repositioning that would be better than the position I was already in. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. I'm hoping Ez can get off a nice ult and hit the whole corner. So let's see, does he manage to get his ult off? Yeah, pretty good. Alistar fortunately trolled his ult. He decided to charge off and hit the Mechanical Bear, but ooh... Yeah, that Victor kind of destroyed me. Victor just kind of annihilated me in that fight. So at this point I was like, you know, this is a ranked game. Let's not screw around here. There's no need to try to fast 9. Let's go ahead and roll a bit more, because obviously I'm not strong enough. So I thought maybe I'm strong enough to go 9, but apparently I wasn't. And aha, there's a Jhin. But let's wait to see what else we hit before we decide to put these items on anyone. So I'm going to roll here. There is the option to maybe play Braum, but I decide, no, I'll keep the Blitzcrank in for right now. I'm kind of running out, and then, oh, okay. Or we could high roll to a stupid degree and just... or we could high roll stupidly and just natural 2-star Jace. I was like, all right, well, you know, I was thinking of maybe playing Jhin, but no, I can play something better. I can just play backline Jace, and that's going to be even better. Like, why not? I just naturaled my way into 2-star Jace. So this is a pretty crazy high roll to be able to do this, but I think I was still in reasonably good shape, even if I didn't hit that. I could have just put my items on Jhin instead, and that wouldn't have been bad either. Like, that also would have been playable. I probably would have had to drop down to 2 scrap if I did that, which would have been fine. Like, then I would have played, like, if I had not hit the 2-star Jace, if I had hit Jhin instead, I would have made Jace a frontliner, I would have put Blitz's items on him, and then I would have played 2 scrap instead of 4 scrap. So that was also an option. All right, as far as what's going on here, I still have an extra item slot left over on Jace. I was like, let's go ahead and put Rageblade on him. It's a pretty good item on Jace. I did consider getting a frontline item, but I decided this would be better. Note that I also tossed the sword onto Aurelia, and that's so Aurelia can roll another scrap item. And now, oh, and I also managed to hit 2-star Aurelia. So my initial roll down was not that great. I mean, I rolled like 40 to 50 gold initially and didn't really hit that much. But now I've had better luck. And I want to get scrap back in, so I need to put Ezreal in. I was like, who comes out? I guess it's Singed probably comes out. That does make my front line a little sketch, but now Aurelia can kind of frontline to some extent. So that gets us back up to 4 scrap, so I'm guaranteed to roll items on both Aurelia and Blitzcrank here. And, the scrap shields are legitimately good, so I'll take it. We are up against a VIP Draven comp. So here's the question is, do we have enough damage to get through that front line in time to kill Draven? I do have the 2-star Jace. Unfortunately, he's going to get knocked up by, a Braum on the enemy team? And ooh, that Leona looking kind of tanky over there. So I don't know if I can actually get through this Leona, unfortunately. And it looks like this is going to be a loss as well. So I was like, yeah, that comp looks pretty strong right there. This person being sexy. They actually just lost to someone else. So, okay, I would not be sad to see that person get knocked out of the lobby. So we'll keep that in mind. And I think that now I'm probably strong enough to go to level 9. Even though I lost that last round, I think I'm strong enough to win this. I can see who I'm going to be up against, so that means this person can also see who they're going to be up against. And I want to position away from that Renata with her poison. So if that means giving up the spotlight, that's fine. Socialite 1's not that important. So I'm going to look to reposition here to get away from them. And so let's do this. Go ahead, 1-star Ezreal with no items. You enjoy that spotlight. So I tried to get away from the Shroud, but this person actually did reposition their Shroud. And they actually got off a pretty good one. They managed to hit the Ori and the Seraphine and the Echo as well. And Echo's really important for me in this fight because I really need the Morellos to cut the healing on that enemy team. But there was something that was good news. Jace was put on as far away from that Renata as possible. So I really, really wanted Jace to be away from Renata. Ori gets off an ult just before she dies. And it looks like we've got enough to finish this off. So we're going to win and knock that player out, which is a really good deal. Really good thing because they were scaling up off of Tahm Kench. I was very happy to see that comp get knocked out. And guess what? Someone else knocked out the Draven. So I don't have to worry about the Draven anymore either. And those were arguably the 2 comps I was most worried about. So now I just have a Sivir comp. And then my doppelganger, the person playing Innovators. Let's start a riot. Although I don't think that their late game board is as good as it should be, honestly. Well, we'll get back to that in a second because look at this dragon. This dragon has a Tactician's Crown, the old force of nature. So this is going to let me play another unit. And I was like, oh, awesome. I've got Senna right here on the bench. I'll just play this Senna. So I got a Tactician's Crown. And then I was like, wait a minute. I got another Tactician's Crown and an Assassin Emblem too. I was like, what the heck? Okay. So I just got double Tactician's Crown. Well, everybody else got it too. So do keep that in mind. So at this point, I could try to go to 9, but I was like, wait a minute, I need to try to improve my board right now because I don't need to get to 9. I basically have to add 2 free units here. So I want to roll right now to try and 2-star some of these units. Like, I want to be able to put in 2-star units, not 1-star units. Like, I'm playing a Singed right now, which is, whatever. I definitely can do better than that. So I'm trying to find what other units I can put in that are going to be better. The other thing I picked up was an Assassin's Emblem, and it turns out that Aurelia makes for a fabulous assassin because she just jumps in the back lines and starts killing the carries on the enemy team. And that's exactly what happens here. She rolls Bloodthirster for her scrap item, she dives into the back lines, and she starts killing the enemy carries. Now, of course, Jace does the most damage, but I am not sad to have that Aurelia in the fight. All right, so I was like, what can I do that's better? I'm like looking for other 4 costs, 5 costs, just trying to get some kind of better unit in here. And I was like, Vi. Well, Vi is definitely better than one of these units. It was like Ezreal, but I was like, no, maybe not. But if I take out Ezreal, I lose 4 scrap. I was like, well, she's definitely better than a Singed, because I will hold the Singed, because you never know when like an Innovator emblem might pop up on a carousel, and then I'd be able to play the dragon. But I'll definitely play Vi for Enforcer, because that's really useful in these late game fights. And if there was one weakness to my comp, it's a little shaky when it comes to frontline. So like, who's going to get Enforcered in this fight? Who did I actually end up Enforcering? I can't exactly tell, but I got somebody on the other team. Anyway, so this is a Hextech Sivir comp. Well, guess what? That comp got nerfed incredibly hard, and so we're going to win pretty easily. That is a board that would definitely have been winning in the previous patch, before the B patch came out. So now it's down to just me and the other Innovators player, and it's definitely not a coincidence that the 2 of us are left. Innovators is very strong right now. That's why I'm in a ranked game. I'm trying to take advantage of this before other people are aware of how strong this is. And then I find the Jinx, and I was like, oh, there's a Jinx. I was like, but what can I take out? I could take out Blitz. I was like, wait, is that better? I don't think that's better. I think it's better to keep the Blitz in. So I was like, I have been winning with this board. Let's keep the Jinx out of the comp for right now, and then maybe we'll look to put Jinx in if I can 2-star her. So now I think I probably can go to level 9, or at least relatively soon, because my board looks like it's getting pretty capped here, so I can probably look to go to 9 soonish. But I definitely think it was the right decision to roll there and try to get some stronger units in. This other person, let's start a riot. Their board does not seem to be that strong. I'm winning these rounds, and it's not especially close. They were playing through Seraphine, so they ran 3 Socialite, Seraphine, plus 4 Enchanters. I just don't think that's that strong. Seraphine is, perfectly run. You can perfectly run her as a carry, but she's never going to output anywhere near as much damage as like a 2-star Jace with these items that I have. So that comp I just don't think has anywhere near enough damage to deal with mine, and I think it got outscaled. Also, I don't think that 4 enchanters is all that great, honestly. Just don't think it's that good. And then I hit 2-star Vi, so I was like, all right, now we can stop here. I'm not going to roll for 2-star Ezreal, but now I can stop here. And now I would look to go to level 9, but I think the game's about to end here. I have actually made one mistake. I have double Tactician's Crowns on my bench, and guess what? They actually do count for scrap. So I should just stuff them on some unit, like maybe the 1-star Ezreal, because they actually give you a bigger scrap shield if you have them on your unit. So that's actually a mistake for me. I could be getting an even bigger scrap shield. But yeah, I mean, these fights have not really been close. Against this other player. Like, I've been getting off some fantastic Ori ults. I've got Aurelia dashing around there on the back lines with Assassin trait. Jace is totally untouched in these fights. And yeah, he does an awful lot of damage as 2-starred with these items. So we're going to win. I'm going to say GG, nice game, although I think they disconnected before I was able to see that. And it's a win for the Flex Innovators. Again, pretty big high roll to natural into the 2-star Jace on level 8. That's, a big high roll for sure. But I think I was very competitive even without that. Like, I think I definitely would have been top 4, and I would have been competitive, for at the very least like a second or a third, even if I didn't hit that. And maybe I would have just hit Jinx or Jin instead. So anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I get 134 LP because this is my first ranked game. Let's see what happens the rest of the season. Till then, thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you again soon.